afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, February 14th, here at the City Commission meeting. We'll start with the call of order, please. Roll call, please.
Mayor Skidmore,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Allen,
Present.
Commissioner Kaler,
Present.
Commissioner Clayton,
Present.
and Commissioner Crowley.
Present.
We're all here, so welcome everybody here, and also joining us on social media. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by our invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Increase, O God, the spirit of neighborliness among us, that in peril we may uphold one another in suffering, tend to one another, and in homelessness, loneliness, or in exile, befriend one another. Grant us brave and enduring hearts, that we may strengthen one another, until the disciples and testing of these days are ended, and you give us peace in our time. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Brian. Start the meeting with public comments. Any registered?
We have none registered.
Okay, thanks. Go on to appointments, proclamations, recognitions, nominations, and public hearings, and consent agenda. It'd be the minutes from the February 7th, 2024 meeting, as well as the agenda approval. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? There's a second. All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll go on to the declaration. At this time, I'd like to give the commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. We're good there too. We'll go on to unfinished business.
Item A, ordinance establishing a permitting process for temporary events where alcoholic beverages will be sold or served.
Amendment of Section 4.101 of the Municipal Code, adding a new Article 9 in Chapter 4 titled Common Consumption. The article outlines the requirements for a common consumption area, a CCA, downtown. And I believe our attorney, is he here online? And I see something moving on the screen.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I decided not to risk giving this cold to the city manager by coming in and sitting next to him today.
Thank you. Yeah.
This is substantially the same ordinance you've seen previously. We did do some formatting upgrades. Section 9, we amended to attempt to address the concern raised by Commissioner Clayton about purchase of alcohol, which would be otherwise legal within the CCA, and then taking that outside of the area. And so the new language simply says that the possession of alcoholic liquor or cereal malt beverage purchased or obtained within the CCA pursuant to a CCA permit shall not be removed from the area. So that kind of clarifies that we're talking about drinks that were acquired as part of the common consumption area permit. So that would not include, say, growlers of beer from the brewery or to-go margaritas from a Mexican restaurant. The other changes in Section 14A, subparagraph D, we added Legacy Square to those city facilities where drinking is allowed with a permit. The other three are the Municipal Auditorium, the Carnegie Cultural Center, and the airport. Legacy had been intended to be added a long time ago, and I don't know why it was not, but this clarifies that. So otherwise, it's the same ordinance you've seen with the same provisions that we discussed at your last meeting, and I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for our counselor?
Mr. Good.
I was just gonna say, on that, I was looking at section 9, and it says, I don't know if it's a typo, within a CCA pursuant to a CCA permit shall not, and I wasn't sure if that was missed or if I misread that.
If you look at the very first word there, Commissioner Clayton,
Okay,
it's
so
no
it's-
container.
Okay, perfect. Just listening, you said shall not, so I wasn't sure.
Good question. Commissioner Crowley, you have something?
I had the same question.
Oh, good, very good. Covered. Any other questions anybody have? I don't know if Sarah, Stoffel, you have anything more to add or anything you want to add to this or comment on? Maybe we're okay. You're sure welcome to.
I don't have any comment on this, anything particular. I mean, there's still things that we have to do after this, but this is getting the ball rolling.
Good, all right, thanks. Any other questions anybody has on this? If not, where would you like to go with this?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I
Commissioner.
move that we approve the ordinance establishing the CCA.
Okay, is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? I guess I would just have a question or a turn. Just my main concern is to avoid any kind of underage drinking. That's well established already in here or even before this in the establishments that'll be selling alcohol, correct?
Yeah, so Mr. Mayor, not only is that barred by state law and local ordinance already, but Section 11 requires that licensees, those who are selling, have to comply with all other state and local laws. Failure to do so can result in the loss of their license, and they would not only not be able to participate in a common consumption area, but could well lose their license entirely for repeated offenses of that section of state law and local ordinance.
Good, that's good to hear. Okay, thank you for that. Any other discussion? If not, let's have a roll call vote, please.
How do you vote, Mayor Pro Tem Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
And Mayor Skidmore?
I'll vote yes too. Motion carries. Thank you. So we'll move on to item number, is that 11?
Item A, request for Ottawa Memorial Auditorium to obtain a Kansas Caterers liquor license.
The Ottawa Memorial Auditorium is seeking approval to apply for a license to sell alcoholic beverages during OMA presented shows as well as rental events as an additional revenue stream. And Director Evans, she's online too? Very
I
good.
am. There's germs everywhere this week, I guess.
I guess.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Today I'm here to talk to you about the auditorium requesting the opportunity to obtain a Kansas Caterers liquor license. While it's not non-traditional revenue, it is non-traditional revenue to us to be able to sell alcohol. And it would not only benefit us financially, but would be an added service that we could provide to our renters and patrons. The OMA in the past has had alcohol sold at the auditorium. When we've offered these bar services for our shows, we've partnered with outside contractors, Prairie Star Catering, the Chamber of Commerce, some of our local civic organizations to provide that service. And they obtain their special event license, they sell, and then they benefit from the profit of those sales. I'm proposing if we were allowed to, or allowed to get the catering license, the OMA staff and volunteers who would be serving and selling the alcohol complete TIPS training, which is an online training platform that provides them with strategies for selling alcohol while providing the best customer service. I'm actually TIPS trained myself already. On-hand product would be kept in our recently remodeled storage area downstairs that's under lock and key with limited access provided by OMA employees only. The cost of the 2-year license is $1,000. The fee for TIPS training is $40 per person, and that's for a 3-year certificate. And then the annual liability insurance would be cost approximately $260 per year. However, the revenue side of that would be that we would anticipate to profit between $500 and $6,000 per event, depending on how big the event is, which really could help us close the gap on some of those shows between tickets versus the cost of the show. I have spoken to our city attorney about this, and he stated that he would be helping with the preparation of the license application if and when that time comes. And so I am recommending at this time that the City Commission approve this request.
Okay.
And I am open for any questions you might have.
Any questions of Tiffany? Are you on any kind of a time pressure to make this decision today, or is this something just sometime soon you would like it?
Yeah, there's no time pressure right at this time. It's something we've talked about for many years, so.
I understand. And I would just ask this question too. I know there was a golf tournament in Scottsdale, Arizona here recently, And normally golf fans have a certain decorum, but they're serving alcohol, and there was overcrowding, and there were fights going on, and they didn't have enough security to handle the situation there, which kind of surprised me. Like I said, golf fans, come on. Is there any concern here with overcrowding? Is there security plans to be on site when we have shows? How does that work?
Sure. So overcrowding, no. I don't think we'll have any issue there because our venue only allows so many folks. But when we have had alcohol sales in the past, we have also at each of those events had security on staff, and I generally work with J.W. Hawkins and Adam Weingartner to make sure that we have adequate security. Up to this point, we've not had any issues with folks being overserved and causing a disruption at our shows. And so with proper training, I feel confident that we shouldn't have issues moving forward.
And as far as underage drinking, we're taking care of that as well, I assume, right? Very good.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other questions? Personally, I wouldn't mind waiting another week just to see this on the schedule, just to have a chance to get feedback from the community. I don't know if anybody would agree with that, or if you want to proceed now.
Hearing,
Sorry.
please, Commissioner.
No, go.
You're fine.
I was just going to ask Tiffany, will there be any additional steps before you actually, if we pass the request and we approve the request, are there any additional steps that you will be, pardon me, anticipate bringing to the commission before you would make that application?
I don't know of any additional steps. I would refer that to Blaine if he would have any additional steps that he would see that we would need to take.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, once you authorize staff to make the application, that would kind of be the green light for us to proceed. A lot of the application process can take place online now, so I don't know that we'd have a paper copy to bring you. There really wouldn't be a step beyond you authorizing the preparation and submission of the application. And then obviously we'd report back to you that the license had been obtained. So if you want to take some more time and think about it, we're happy to talk about it with you at your next meeting as well.
Everybody okay with next week? We can talk about this? Any other opinions?
I certainly would be okay with waiting till next week, but quite frankly, I mean, OMA's sold liquor and beer at these events before. I mean, quite frankly, nothing's changing whether we wait a week or not. I mean, the public's had plenty of opportunity to make comments on whether they approve or not approve of OMA selling. So I certainly would be in favor of voting on it today, too, if the rest of the commissioners would be.
And Tiffany, I guess your board's on board? Pardon the
They
pun?
are, yes.
All right, okay.
I would agree with Commissioner Crowley, although I do not have a problem with waiting. I really do not. I don't think 1 week is going to make a huge difference, but the only thing that we lose is we lose potential revenue.
I'll wait if there's a motion. If not,
I
we'll
was
wait.
going to say, I'll make the motion to approve item 11 on our agenda.
Okay, 11A is on the agenda. Is there a second on this?
I'll second.
There's a second. Any other discussion?
Sure.
Let's go ahead and roll
Are you
call
sure
vote
it's not
then.
10A?
I'm sorry, did I say 11A?
Mike said
It's-
11A. I said 11. Thank you for correcting me.
I was like,
Okay.
It is 11A.
We're good?
is it?
We're good. Okay, I guess it is 11A. We have consensus.
How do you vote, Commissioner Crowley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
And Mayor Skidmore?
I'll vote yes, too. That motion carries. Thanks, Tiffany, for all your extra work and hard work on this.
Thank you all.
We'll go on to 11B.
Charter ordinance establishing a transient guest tax.
The charter ordinance authorizes a transient guest tax not to exceed 9% based on gross receipts, sleeping accommodations in any hotel, motel, or tourist court. And our city manager, I guess, going to address this one.
Thank you, Mayor and City Commission. And we have the city attorney online, so Blaine can feel free to interject as needed or as he sees necessary. The transient guest tax is a charter ordinance that would authorize the levying of a tax with the adoption of an additional ordinary ordinance or simple ordinance that would then establish that rate. The county currently levies a 6% transient guest tax that was initiated in 2004. These transient guest revenues are levied under city's home rule authority. The 2022 revenue generation for the county totaled $277,778.23. Those collections are entirely within the city. So that's revenue that generates 1.2 mils for the county currently, and would generate just over 2 mils or 2.09 mils for our current 2024 budget. The anticipated timeline would be to consider and adopt, and then upon publication, there would be a 61-day wait period for any protest petitions that would be filed under the statutes for the charter ordinance. And given our investment in public amenities, including the auditorium, Legacy Square, Prairie Spirit Trail, Flint Hills Trail, contributions to community partners such as the Chamber of Commerce, Ottawa Main Street Association, and several others who do wonderful work for not just Ottawa, but the community as a whole. These could potentially offset many of those costs, both in capital as well as services. So if there are any questions, we can field them at this time. We've given a couple of options for you to go ahead and take consideration today, or to refer the item to our Wednesday, February 21st regular meeting for continued deliberation and consideration.
Okay, can we go back to that slide showing the numbers again? I didn't get all that written down. There we go. So a 6% would generate almost $300,000. Is that right?
Yes. And those numbers are from the Department of Revenue at the
Right.
state.
I guess I'm kind of trying to figure out, how did the county get ahead of us on this, that they're having, they started this 2004, you say, and we didn't, I guess we were, I can't decide if I'm jealous or I'm mad at myself. for not thinking
I've
of it
only been here
first.
9 months, I'm sorry.
Wow. Okay.
Mr. Finch, could you answer that question? Are you still available?
Yeah, I'm still here, Commissioner Crowley. The county exercised that authority back in 2004. I was not city attorney at the time, nor was I on the commission, so I can't speak to what the thought was of the city at the time. But the state law that allows for the collection of a transient guest tax is non-uniform, which means that the city can charter out of it. And a number of cities around the state that are in the same boat have chartered out so that they can collect a transient guest tax, again, not paid by local folks, paid by people passing through, spending the night at one of our hotels. And so that's kind of the situation that we've been in. One of the statutes contained in this ordinance that you're would be chartering out of says that you can't have both a city and county transient guest tax. So I can't speak to why staff didn't bring this up prior, or in 2004 when the county first did it, or why there was not an agreement for revenue sharing, since all hotels in the county are within the city limits of the city of Ottawa. But can tell you that it's one of the conversations that Brian brought to the fore and saying, hey, you know, we've got a lot of the tourist amenities in the county. We've also got a means to help financially support them. And so this is the ordinance that resulted. So sorry, I can't explain, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner, why the county was so far ahead on this, but this is an opportunity to remedy that.
And so you said the county can't have one if the city has one?
That is the state law, but we'll be opting out of that since this is a charter ordinance because the state law is non-uniform. The county's transient guest tax will not go away just because you charter out of this.
Oh, I see.
Both will remain in place.
All right. And does it apply to bed and breakfast as well, or is this just commercial motels?
This would apply to transient guests and sleeping accommodations. And so long as it is not, I think Airbnbs and VRBOs are not covered. But if they are holding themselves out as an overnight accommodation, motel, hotel, or bed and breakfast, I believe they collect the transient guest tax.
Okay. Well, I know this is one of those taxes when you get a motel and it's $80, suddenly it's $90. I thought, wow, what's this all about? And I guess that's what part of this is, as far as that extra fee. And I guess no one's going to walk away from that once they've already made a reservation. They're going to pay it, but they pay it in protest, I guess. I just hate for it to be too high to prices out of the market. So if we go with six, that'd be 12%. So on a $100 room, there's another $12.
Well, this is just
We're
setting
not
the
asking
cap.
for 6.
Yeah, right. We can go up to 9. I get that, yeah. But if we did 6, that'd be 12.
And Brian, do we have a plan for where this would go, the money as it comes in, or will that be kind of discussed once the charter ordinance is in place before we do our ordinary ordinance for the budgeting of that?
Well, what I would recommend initially is to build fund balance for a year or two and then proceed with an allocation. And that would also give you some consistency in generation, so you would get a feel for the tempo and kind of cash flow of what's incoming. But yes, ideally, like I had afforded the examples of some of the offsets or the impact on how that would be utilized. And I believe, what's allowed and how we would work that is something that, because it would ideally go to offset general fund dollars to keep property taxes stable, we would essentially be shifting things around. And that, again, would be worked into the budget process, which, again, I would recommend building some fund balance to have it on hand and then begin after a year or two dispersing it accordingly.
And do we know what other cities comparable size to us, if they have something similar to this?
Yeah, if you can go online and the state aggregates all of the jurisdictions levying it as well as the rates. And I mean, you see across the board, there are even a few communities levying 9%, but the average, I would say, is 6 to 7%.
It looks like Gardner is at 8 and some of the.
Total, right?
Mhm.
And we're looking
Yeah.
at proposing 12%.
No, that's the
No.
city.
That's just city.
No.
Johnson.
But does Johnson County have some of that too? That's what I want to know.
We would be looking at doing 8, right?
That would, 8 would actually fall in line with the Johnson County
Yeah.
Metro.
Okay. Now Franklin County 6, am I missing something?
If,
No,
'Cause-
you're not. Johnson, if you look at the communities in Johnson County that are leveraging, they're levying approximately 8% on average. Johnson County communities. The Johnson County does have, I believe, a transient guest tax. We, however, don't. I believe there's been a total of $9,000 distributed on average over the last several years by the county. I think, given the fact that we're the sole generator, irregardless of what the county does, we would give our taxpayers a bigger bang for their buck than they're currently getting, because that would be reinvestment into attractions and marketing and capital investments for those attractions that bring visitors in, that not just create the transient guest tax revenue, but also impact the sales tax.
Okay.
And so, we have to kind of look at it. We do always, and we talk about it during the budget, the aggregate tax impact. However, I would contend that in this instance, it's something that it would provide us significant benefit, and an almost immediate benefit. And,
Okay.
our mill levy is, it's less than the county's. The county's assessed valuation is $362,651,000 and change, and our assessed valuation's $141,998 and change, $696, I think. So, one mill for us is $141,998, or a mill for them is, $362,651. So they get a lot more, although we'll be targeting it and returning it to both directly and indirectly to those folks that are bringing the people here.
No, there's, actually, it's very easy to find.
And I sent it
Mayor
to you,
Skidmore,
Mike.
yeah, and
I
I
emailed it
just.
to you as well.
Oh, I was gonna say, I emailed it to our city manager, which I know he can then send it out to everybody. But I think we may be looking at it a little bit different. It's, we're not talking, we have no authority over what Franklin County does.
Right, I get that.
However, we have authority over what we do here in the city of Ottawa. And so regardless of whatever Franklin County chooses to do, we have the right, if we charter out of the ordinance, to go ahead and put together a transient guest tax.
And
And I could be wrong there.
No, I get that, but if someone pays their bill, they don't ask how much is going to the city, how much is going to the county. They just see a bill of 8% or 12%, whatever it might be.
Well, I mean, you can ask whatever you want, but I mean,
Well, yeah,
have
yeah.
we asked? I've never asked when I've gone to a
No,
hotel.
right, but I just want it to be, when it get so far priced out of the market that people may decide to stay elsewhere. I don't want, that's a few dollars, I realize, but I just
Well,
don't want to get too.
if you go to Garnett, they're doing it for 6% there too, the city is. Gardner's doing it for 8%, has a tax list, or listed at 8%.
And the county is,
Well, that's not what we're talking about, we're just talking about what the city is. I don't know what the county is.
yeah, but I'm talking about the total tax bill, that's what I.
But I don't, that's not part of the table. It doesn't combine cities and counties together. It's a separate county. The county's got a table, and then cities have a table.
Right, I get that.
So they don't combine them. You see what I mean? Like, I can look and see, does Anderson County have one? And then does Garnett have one? But that's just, and you,
That's the total you
please.
would pay when you rent a room there, I got that, okay. And like you said, we can give anything from up to 9%, it doesn't matter at that point, we can decide what we want. Anyone else have an opinion on that?
I have a little heartburn with this whole item here. I too am a big proponent of the fact that we get 30-some% for Proximity Park, because of folks that never will use Proximity Park, that just drive by, down the highway and spend money in that area that goes to Proximity Park. What I keep thinking, and I know that it's two separate things, but it's similar in effect. What I keep thinking of and what's concerning me is if you add 9% to the bill, and it may not seem like a lot, but we do have a lot of folks that are homeless here in town. We have companies here in town, places here in town that like to get money and then purchase those rooms for those homeless folks, which I think at that point, the more we drive that bill up, the less amount of nights that they're going to have in order to stay there, or less they're going to have to spend in order to stay there. Also, you have folks that do live there. day in and day out. The more you drive this bill up, it may push them out. We've already taken one. Let me rephrase that. The community has already taken one hotel here in town and turned it into something it's not a hotel. Mayor Skidmore, I understand your concern with pricing us out of the market. I also understand that there's a lot that's going on around us. The Garnets, as Commissioner Kaler mentioned, the Gardeners, as Mayor Pro Tem Allen mentioned, that already have their additional transient guest tax. So I've thought about this ever since we got the agenda, and it's really given me some heartburn because I think of both sides and what we could possibly do to some of the folks that the community has tried really hard to help recently.
That's a good point, yeah. At the same time, I still see those 2 mills too, which is a significant enhancement to our bottom line as well, or reduction thereof if we get this collected. Anybody else anymore? You want to discuss this? You want to wait another week?
Certainly. I'd like
Good.
to.
Let's wait another week and get more information on this and see what we look at, so
I'd like to wait.
let's do that. Let's look at it next week, Brian.
Yes,
Sound
sir.
like a plan? Let's do it.
Thank you.
For that presentation. We'll go on to the
It's
next.
our job to point out stuff. It's your difficult job to
I
decide. So
agree.
we got the easy part.
You got the right idea there. I agree. Totally. Good. Good. All right, 11C.
Property-oriented service activities, POSA overview.
A staff coordinates service efforts of the police, public works, fire, utilities, and neighborhood and community services for code enforcement in an effort to improve the quality of life in our area experiencing an increase in property crime and deteriorating property conditions. And City Manager Silcott again.
Thank you. This was brought up recently during quarterly reports, and so I wanted to just kind of expand on it. It's something that we started last late spring and have continued, and it's just an aggregation of our resources as our departments routinely conduct operations that are parallel to each other, but in the absence of coming together for certain issues of concern that are mutual or may be mutually of interest. The intent is to focus on that geographical region and coordinate our resources from increased police patrols to increased fire, not just inspections, but patrols. And oftentimes, because of the service requirements, on occasion, as recently occurred, it is the fire department responding to some of our citizens in need that we're able to bring this to our table for concern and for consideration, so that we were not only able to assist that individual with the civic and social capital to assist them with their needs, but also then to turn the city assets to partner with community partners to improve the environment to help with that situation. And so we've done this on approximately 9 occasions. And the whole point is to improve the quality of life and placemaking in our neighborhoods so that they feel value and investment in their neighborhoods, where they can feel safe, and more importantly, that they know their children are safe, both from the built environment, from public works going in and doubling up on pothole patrol and pavement markings and sign reflectivity, and working with the police department to ensure that we have adequate street lighting, and that if there is a need for one, that our electric utility team can respond to help mitigate that issue, and also to work and partner with our neighborhood and community development department for neighborhood services to not only work on the code component, but also, again, to pair up those individuals and properties in need with the appropriate resources. So we're taking a long-term end-game approach rather than the short-term. So we're playing the infinite game as opposed to the finite game, because we're stewards of our positions, and so we want to act accordingly rather than trying to be myopic and short-term in nature. So we've also included some active items that our departments and agencies do. I believe we've got on the next slide some images of what's happened with a recent property, and you can tell that's typical of several of our responses. And you know, it's something that we want to help the residents and the neighbors as well. So the next slide shows a general description of what each department or division will do to assist. And if there's any questions, myself or the department heads are eager to share.
Any questions?
Brian, one question I had was, I kind of saw at the beginning of the background, where since May 2023, you've formally responded to 8 POSA responses. Is there a way, how would a citizen, I guess, put in a POSA request or response?
Well, this is more of sharing of information, and then with that overlap, it's a city response. And then as we work with, and the example I give is if Lucas and his team know that there's shrubs growing over a sidewalk, they'll reach out first, and it may be an 87-year-old widow who doesn't have the resources, but we have ways for us to partner with, whether it's youth groups or it's men's groups from churches, to donating of time to be able to mitigate some of the problems rather than simply send a nasty gram and forget about it. And so it's kind of the, hey, you may not be aware this is a violation, give them a little bit of time, and then also at that point, after 2 weeks, maybe start the clock. So if they don't reach out to let us know that there's extenuating circumstances, then at that point we can begin the process. And if there's some weird thing where they're out of town and missed that initial, well then obviously we can adapt accordingly. I mean, it's about being nimble. And so that's what we're trying to do, and kind of work more of and I say it delicately because it all is situational dependent and requires context and nuance for each given circumstance, but it's progress, not perfection. And so long as they're seeing meaningful progress occur and no regressions, then that's what we're looking for, to where we can see light at the end of the tunnel. It's not, just stagnation.
Yeah, so these are more city-led by staff.
Yes,
either
sir.
For, there's an issue at a home.
Law enforcement, like
Law enforcement.
patrol, Adam and his team has brought most of them to our attention. And oftentimes through our weekly meetings, discussing what's going on, then we'll be made aware of something. But now that we've kind of gotten into an operating rhythm with respect to this, more are seeming to come to the forefront, which is good.
Thank you.
Any other questions anybody have? Seemed like I remember at one of our city meetings, we went somewhere, some city, I don't know if it was Newton or Hutchinson, and they were talking something about this too, and that the police, they have records of addresses of any kind of crime that's taking place, and the whole idea is to be more proactive than reactive, I guess. And there would be certain more patrols, like you said, more streetlights perhaps needed, things like that to kind of hopefully mitigate any crime in the future that way. And so I can see where something like this could be beneficial, where we know where there's more potential for issues to be in town. So I think it's a good thing we're looking at here. Anybody, any more questions? We need some formal action on this, I assume, or is that
Just a receive and file.
Consensus, we're good there. Okay, good. Thanks, Brian, for bringing that to our attention.
Yes.
We'll go on to comments by city manager then.
Just want to highlight, keep it brief so everyone can get to their Valentine. we'll be having upcoming agenda items. At the next meeting, we'll have our monthly project update review. We'll have recognition of employee Chris Krause. We'll be discussing an expanded investment policy. We may also be discussing a hotel termination of the IRB due to a sale, but that's tentative at this stage. And then future outlying agendas include recognition of the First Baptist Church for their assistance during the extreme cold snap. We'll have on the 28th our partner agencies given their monthly report. And then into March, we're looking at some community requests and proclamations. So if there are any questions or items that you would like to see, just let us know. If not, thank you.
Good. All right. Thank you, Brian. We'll move on to comments by governing body. By Commissioner Clayton, you want to start us off?
I can do that. I as well will be brief with it being Valentine's Day to let everyone get out of here. As I was kind of driving home from Kansas City, I was trying to think of what I wanted to say. It's always hard to imagine what to say. Wearing a Kansas City Chiefs jersey, I came straight from Union Station. And it's just a very unfortunate day. I obviously don't have the words. You know, I always hate, we have these great days, these great moments for the city, for the state, for the area. And they're kind of always overshadowed by something like this, where evil exists in our world and terrible things like this happen. There's not a lot I can do, obviously. You know, and saying my thoughts and prayers go out to the families of those involved and everyone there. I think definitely needs to be said, but it's just a sad situation. I'm thankful to be among all the people who were safe, so that's amazing. I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful for officers up there who responded, and I'm sure Chief can attest to that, who were ready at a moment's notice, and I think in the end saved a lot of risk to the public and a lot of people. And I know there's a lot more news to come out on that. And so it's unfortunate as well that it's on a day of love. And that's all that I have.
Thank you.
Yes, and I appreciate what Commissioner Clayton was just saying. I'm going to take just a little bit of a different hat on that, or wear just a little bit of a different hat on that. On Friday, I attended. I'm on the Kansas Fights Addiction Board of Directors, and that board allocates monies from the opioid settlement money, and that is to mitigate and to address individuals who may have substance abuse issues. And so we don't know, what has happened, but we know there are a lot of people that have mental health struggles and that have substance abuse issues. As a community, one of our responsibilities is to help address that. We will be receiving an additional payment, another payment as a part of the settlement for the opioid settlement money, probably in the next 30 days. I do not have a total amount, but I do want us as a city to start talking about how it is that we can address substance abuse and abuse issues within our community. So it's nice that it comes with some funding. I should note that the county has also received funding, and I'm happy to bring the total amount. And then we also have the capacity, which I've spoken to our police chief, we also have capacity to apply for grants that will help us address some of those issues. So I'm sorry for what happened today in a day of celebration, but know that we as a community have some resources available to us to address if substance abuse or some kind of abuse issues are a part of that. And they're a part of our community every day.
Yep, well said. Good. Commissioner Crowley.
I have no report.
Okay. Pro Tem Allen.
No comment.
No comment. I just have two things real quick. I just see we're doing some tree trimming around town. Michael, is that something that you might address? I mean, I saw some trucks out trimming trees. I know that's one of the concerns people had for the last couple of storms we've had. We had too many trees growing over power lines, and so I saw some work going on. Tell us update on that.
So the tree trimming that we're doing, the public works crews are doing, are trimming trees up high enough off the curb so that they meet the the code, which is, I believe, 15 feet, so that we can get equipment down every street without
Oh, I see.
dragging the tops of it. As far as trees being trimmed in power lines, that's not anything we do because we're not equipped. We're not equipped and trained to trim trees out of power
I
lines.
think I saw an Asplin truck out today, over on K-68.
Yeah, and I believe Dan can answer
Oh,
those
Can get
questions.
that. All right, let's do that. Thanks.
Mayor, Commissioners. Yeah, after, well, as a result of some of the issues on the Circuit 8 and Circuit 10 on the north side, I'm going to say it was mid-December, we entered into contract with Asplin to trim trees and basically everything north of the river.
Okay.
And that's what you're, undoubtedly what you saw. They've been working on it since then, but they've been, I've noticed myself in the last week, they've been a little more visible. Just they've gotten closer to, as they started north and are moving south, so they're getting closer to the highway, and so they're a little more visible what they're doing. And I'm going to estimate they probably have maybe 4 weeks left.
Okay.
I think the original completion date was going to be the end of February, but they had a little snow and cold weather kind of interfered with that a little bit.
Sure.
But that's what you're seeing there. And we are in process now soliciting quotes and bids to continue on the other side of town, so.
It's good to hear. I know it's what people wanted, so we'll give that to them.
Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate that. And I guess the potholes, I know potholes are starting to show up once in a while. I didn't get you out in time, Mike, when you were up here. But we, at one time, I know we had a number call in our website for people to report potholes.
Yeah, and that number's posted on the website, on the Public Works page and on the streets page. I believe the number is the street department, which is, I'm not going to quote it because I don't know it. But if they want to know, go look at the city's website and hit the Public Works page, and they can find it at the top in bold print. So that'll work. But yeah, we're out patching potholes. We have been. We will continue to do so, just as we do every year throughout the winter. If people know of a pothole and want to report it, please call the number on the website so that we can get it marked and get a crew over there to take care of it.
Great. Thanks for your service, Mike. That's great.
Can I sit down now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we'll let you this time. This last comment I have is just about yesterday. We had a meeting with K-68 and some engineers. We had a good turnout. We had the owners of property from on K-68 going east out of town from basically community college at I-35. And like we told them, nothing is in concrete, both literally or figuratively. It's still discussion stages. There are some turning lanes, some different things. People won't be able to turn left. They can turn right, and we're still in the discussion mode as far as trying to work that out. Again, it was just a plan, a proposal, K-68 and the engineers presented to the people. It's a starting point. It's nothing definite, and that's what I want to make sure when people understand they're listening to this. We're just looking at some ideas on what we can do to make that area, as it grows, safer and more efficient in traffic flow. And so KDOT has that responsibility to blend the safety along with the good traffic flow. It's a challenge sometimes, some intersections, but I think we can accomplish that. So we're looking forward to seeing what the future may have for that development out that direction. Announcements, we got a February 21 City Commission meeting here at 10 o'clock in the morning. February 28th will be at 4 p.m. And then on March 6th it will be at 7 p.m. And then March 10th through 13th we'll be in Washington, D.C., it looks like. So nothing else to come before the City Commission meeting today. We are adjourned.